So I've done videos before where I've discussed the benefits of adding herbs to the feed for your flock. And I've got rescue chickens and geese and a pigeon. I'll buy them a treat of the whole fresh herbs. But for the most part, I'll use the cooking herbs, the dried herbs, and the chopped stuff that comes in bottles like this. And in here, I've got a mixture. Here, you can see I've got some ready to fold into the feed right there. But this in this container right here is a mixture of basil, thyme, rosemary, and oregano. And at different times, I may also use lemon balm, or maybe just a little tiny smidge of clove. The clove is very powerful stuff, but it's also very, very overpowering as far as to the smell and the taste, so you don't want to overdo that. But herbs are very helpful for just general immune system boosting of your birds and other animals. Sometimes I'll also give them to the reptiles. So these herbs contain a lot of compounds which are really good for helping to boost immune response. This is more so to give over time to build up in their system for overall protection, for improving the response of their immune system. You don't really want to rely on these kind of herbals for directly addressing any kind of acute illness, although that might help as a supportive measure if you've got a sick bird. But you're not going to be able to rely upon, if you've got a sick chicken or a goose, that's not the time to turn to an herbal treatment and hang all your hopes on that. It's not going to be as good as frankly conventional medicine for addressing acute infections, illnesses like a bacterial or viral infection. But it really does help to keep their immune system up so that they themselves can resist getting the infections to begin with. So, but another thing I wanted to discuss, that's just a recap, but what I'm actually here to discuss is another item that I will add to their feed, and that's nutritional yeast flakes. And this is not an active yeast. The fermentation is halted. I hear a lot of people, especially with geese and ducks, who will talk about how they have these high niacin requirements, especially when they're young birds, when they're developing, and that's what it looks like. And so with the nutritional yeast, this has a complement of the important B vitamins. You've got niacin, and then you've got B6, which is very important, riboflavin, thiamine, which is B1, folic acid, and B12. So I'm not for sure if by folic acid they actually mean actual folate, or if it is a folic acid. I'll have to research that more. I see a lot of people that will buy these supplements at the stores, or feed that is fortified with supplements. But a lot of times they'll buy, there's this particular supplement I keep hearing people on these groups mention. I don't remember it right now, but they'll spend quite a bit of money for these supplements, and then they tend to give it when the duck or the goose or the chicken is sick. Well, the time to give that stuff is all the time leading up so that they don't get sick. It can help in a supportive sense, supportive medicine if you've got a bird that's sick, but that's generally, just like with the herbals, that's generally not going to be curative. It's not going to be powerful enough to help the bird overcome the acute illness that it's already suffering. The time for using these things is before the bird gets sick. But you've got all the not all the B vitamins, but you've got a pretty good assortment of the important B vitamins there. And B vitamins, this is not just important for, like development. I hear a lot of people discussing like, oh, they need niacin or they'll have problems with their feet or whatever. But it's a lot more than that. It's the immune system function, the production of the enzymes that their immune system needs, their neurological development, neurofunction. It's related to all that, not just niacin, not just B1 or B12. You need a good assortment of all your B vitamins, and that too is because most of your B vitamins are all of them, unless they're specifically made like to be liposomal or something like that, or like benfotiamine or something. They're all water soluble, so they tend to go through the body pretty quickly, and they tend to be consumed pretty quickly. So when an animal is sick and it's using a lot of them, it gets depleted on the B vitamins very quickly. So the B vitamins like B and C, if you're going to supplement those things, they kind of need to be supplemented more heavily and more often than, say, like your vitamin A or D or something like that. But so another thing that this yeast contains, which isn't listed on here, but is a very important, maybe even the most important component to a nutritional yeast, is the beta-glucan in it. And the beta-glucan is a soluble fiber. And so what this does, in addition to it slows down digestion, so you actually get more complete protein absorption. It also, when it does that, it regulates blood sugar. You don't have the blood sugar spikes. It kind of moderates blood sugar spikes because it slows down the digestion and absorption, and so that helps with blood sugar issues. That's why a lot of people will eat it, because of the fiber, the slow of digestion, and aiding with controlling blood sugar. But beta-glucan is also a very powerful immune system modulator. Also, you can look on PubMed or WebMD. There are articles about how beneficial beta-glucan is for anti-cancer and antimicrobial effects, and just stimulating the immune system. And just to brush up on it, I was just reading a research paper citation on beta-glucan on PubMed, which was stating that the beta-glucan is a polysaccharide. Among the polysaccharides that are considered immunostimulants, beta-glucan is the most powerful as far as fighting off infections and cancer. And that numerous studies in humans and animals credit beta-glucan with some pretty significant immune stimulating and improvements of immune responsiveness effects. So as we're getting into water lily, as we're getting into fall now and winter approaching, and we'll be getting the mallards, chiefly mallards being the carriers of avian influenza, which will be migrating down here from up north about this time. Birds are migrating now, and the mallards tend to be relatively unaffected by avian influenza, the highly pathogenic strain, but they come down here and they pass it to geese and to chickens. So before we get a bunch of that, fortunately, I don't get a lot of mallard visitors here, but I have had some of my geese get sick in the past couple of years with what looked like avian influenza. They had all the hallmark symptoms as I saw on day one when I noticed my geese sick. They had all the hallmark symptoms that I saw in the wild geese that I tried to help a few years ago who died. So, and I was able to save my geese, but that was with actual more conventional medicine, you know, like the methylene blue and doxycycline, and also giving them oxytetracycline or Baytril and stuff like that. So, but to start off with, for just keeping their immune system up, this, if you, and I would actually argue this is going to be better than buying these big multi supplements. Go to the source stuff. Don't rely on these commercial feeds, scratch and whatever that it says it's got these herbs in it and everything. That's okay, but don't rely on that. Don't rely on what they fortified the feeds with, or even some of these supplements, you know, like Rooster Booster or something like that. You can use that stuff. I do use those supplements at times to add directly into the water. But as far as the feed, I will go right to the source. Like I want to give them a big, complement of the B vitamins. I'll just, this is one of the healthiest ways to do it. And then to just make sure they get the herbs direct from me and not rely on whatever the analysis is, what small amount they may have put in a chicken, scratch grains or some other kind of, commercial waterfowl feed or something like that. I just add this stuff in myself. And so I haven't lost so far. I haven't lost since I've been rescuing geese. I haven't lost any of mine to illness yet. Knock on wood. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and if anybody gets sick, then I will be, I'll use the other more conventional medicine if they present with, an acute, what looks like a acute infection. Like I said, that's not the time to just, I'll give them the supplementation, but you never rely upon the supplementation to actually be curative once you have an animal that is sick. Once you have an animal that is sick, it needs systemic medications, and that's gonna mean your conventional something. If you've got a natural alternative, some kind of a supplement that will do the job, I'll be the first to let you know. But birds are fine until they're not. And when birds get sick with any kind of, whether it looks like it's a neurological infection or a respiratory infection, or, if it's a Newcastle or avian influenza or anything like that, that's not the time to screw around with herbals. You're not going to save that bird unless you resort back to conventional medicine, which is why in those cases I will tell people, it's great you're doing these enemas for your bird, or these gavages, you're giving them these flushes, and you're going to give them Rooster Booster and all that, but you're not going to save your bird that way. I'm just telling you right now, you're not going to save your bird that way. You're gonna have to resort to the more conventional medicines. But like I said, I have used methylene blue. That's part of my protocol. I have saved sick birds during active bird flu outbreak. I've saved sick geese with the methylene blue before. I've got videos where I've specifically covered that. You can find on my YouTube. Just search for the methylene blue in my Goose playlist, or on my channel. Search for videos I've done about methylene blue.